The market on Zareth 9 never slept. Lights flickered with every color. Traders shouted in 10 languages. Smoke curled from alien food stalls. And in the middle of it all, walked Keon, a young human engineer, wiping sweat from his forehead. He wasn't supposed to be here long. Just fix a broken cargo hauler, collect his credits, and leave. That was his plan, but fate had other ideas. He walked with his toolkit slung over his shoulder, weaving through the crowd. Giant creatures with horns, floating jellyfish-like vendors. Even a group of glowing children brushed past him. Suddenly, crash! Crate fell from a hovering drone above, knocking over a stack of metal canisters. "Hey, watch it," Keon shouted, dodging quickly to his left. And in that moment, his shoulder brushed against something solid. Cold metal. Then, warm skin, he turned and froze. Standing before him was a tall, alien woman, over 7 feet, dressed in black gold battle armor. Her skin was a deep lavender, almost glowing under the lights. Her long silver-white hair flowed down her back, her eyes sharp like twin blades, locked onto his. For a moment, the noise of the market died. Everything went still. A strange shimmer ran through her skin where he touched her. It glowed, faint and pulsing, like energy waking up. Gasps came from the crowd. A vendor dropped his fruit. The guard stopped mid-step. An elder alien whispered, "A claim has been made." Keon blinked. Sorry, the Asor. The tall woman stepped closer. Her voice was low, powerful, and cold. "You touched me without permission, human. The law demands a mating bond." Keon blinked again. Wait, what? But she wasn't joking. Her face remained serious. The nearby guards stepped forward, surrounding them. One guard spoke into a cum. "A binding incident has occurred. Warrior Thalzira has been claimed by human touch." "What are you talking about? I just bumped into her," Keon said, backing away. Thalzira did not move. She simply stared down at him. Her arms were crossed, her expression unreadable. Keon looked at the crowd. Dozens of aliens were watching him like he was some kind of criminal, or worse, some rare object. "I'm not marrying anyone. I didn't do anything wrong," he shouted. A voice crackled from a small hovering drone above. "Under Code 417 of Clan Law, accidental physical contact with a declared warrior, especially during the bloom phase, constitutes a claim bond." Bloom phase? What even is that? Keon shouted. The drone replied, "A state of biological readiness for union. Her body accepted your touch. The bond is live." Keon's eyes widened. No. I'm not bonding with anyone. Fix ships." The guards closed in. "By law, you must accompany her to the clan court," one said. "Refusal will result in banishment from this station." Keon's heart pounded. "Wait, I just got here." A small alien child whispered from the crowd. "He'll be lucky if she doesn't break him in half." "Stop," Thalzira finally said. Her voice wasn't loud, but everyone listened. She stepped forward, slowly, until she was right in front of Keon. She leaned down slightly, just enough to speak directly to him. "You did not mean to touch me, but my body accepted your touch. Now, the law binds us, human," she said, eyes never leaving his. Keon stared at her. Up close, her armor was scratched, dented, signs of battle. Her eyes were not cruel, just hard, like someone used to being feared. "Please," Keon said, quietly, "I don't want trouble." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she turned to the guards. "He comes with me. No chains." The guards hesitated, then stepped back. "Follow," Thalzira said to Keon. "We will go to the hall. The elders will decide." Keon hesitated. "Do I have a choice?" She looked at him. No. So with dozens of alien eyes watching, Yoon followed the tall warrior through the market, down a glowing pathway, past large banners and war drums, into a part of the station he'd never seen before. He had come to Zareth 9 to repair a ship. Now, he was being dragged into a law that made no sense, bonded to a warrior woman who spoke like a queen, looked like a goddess, and walked like thunder. As the doors to the Hall of Warriors opened, Kian whispered under his breath. What the hell just happened to my life? Kian stood in the great hall of warriors like a boy in the middle of a storm. The walls were carved from black stone that shimmered with gold lines, pulsing gently like veins. Banners hung from above, marked with symbols he couldn't read, glowing, shifting. Malian drums thumped somewhere deeper inside the hall, steady and slow, like a heartbeat. He was not alone. On either side of him stood 2 armored guards, taller than him by at least 2 heads. Their weapons hummed, and their eyes never blinked. At the far end of the hall, on a raised platform, sat 5 elders. Their skin was gray and dry like stone, and their long robes brushed the floor like smoke. In the center, sitting with her, back straight and chin lifted, was Thalzira. She had changed into ceremonial armor, deep red with sharp golden edges. Her silver hair was tied back in braids, revealing long markings down the sides of her neck. She looked like a statue carved. By war itself, Kian felt out of place, small, sweaty, in a dirty repair suit, with grease stains down the chest. His boots squeaked against the polished floor, cleared his throat. Look, this is all a mistake. I didn't mean to silence, one of the elders said, raising a bony hand. The ritual has begun. Kian stopped talking. The hall quieted. He glanced at Thalzira, but she wasn't even looking at him. Her eyes were fixed ahead, unmoving. An elder leaned forward. Warrior Thalzira, daughter of Clan Vazirith, do you acknowledge this human as your bond claim? I do, she said simply. And you, human, Kian of Earth? The elder turned to him, blinked. I didn't mean to touch her. I was avoiding a falling crate. No, but I didn't. Mean to intent is not required, another elder cut in. You touched her during bloom phase. The law binds you. This law is insane, Kian snapped. I didn't ask for this. The guards moved slightly, hands near their weapons. Thalzira raised one hand without looking. They froze. She finally turned to face him. You are loud, she said. And frightened? Of course I am, he replied. You people think bumping into someone means I want to marry them? Elders murmured among themselves. But Thalzira stood and walked down from the platform, slow and calm. Her boots echoed through the chamber. She stopped a few feet in front of Kian and studied him. You do not understand our customs. But I will not force you, she said. Kahon blinked. Wait, really? But you'll stay under my protection, she added. The bond signal has been registered in your blood. Other clans will smell it. They believe you are unclaimed. They may try to take you by force. His throat went dry. Take me, as in, yes, she said, for mating, for experiments. Kian's stomach twisted. So what, I'm just supposed to live with you now, he asked. For now, yes, till we find a solution. Or you accept the bond, Thalzira said, voice steady. One of the elders spoke again. A rival claimant has come forward. He wishes to challenge the human for the right to bond. What? Kian shouted. A loud thud echoed as a tall male. Alien stepped forward, muscular, sharp-jawed, and covered in dark bronze armor. His eyes burned like fire, and his mouth curled into a cruel smile. I am Crystal, he said, loud and proud. I was promised to Thalzira before this. Outsider touched her. He is weak. I will defeat him in the arena and take what is mine. Kian backed away. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Arena? What arena? The elder nodded solemnly. The ancient rite must be honored. At the next moonrise, you will face Kriftal in combat. Kian looked at Thalzira in panic. I can't fight that guy. He'll rip me in half. You may request a weapon, the elder said. Can I request a spaceship out of here? Kian asked weakly. Thalzira looked at him for a long moment. Then, she said, he will train. With me? Kriftal scoffed. Let the human run. He will not last a minute in the pit. Kian gritted his teeth, not running. Everyone turned to him. He took a deep breath. I don't understand your laws. I don't even want to be here. But if I have to fight to keep my freedom, then fine. I'll fight. Thalzira nodded once, silent approval in her eyes. Later, that night, Under the glowing moons of the station's sky dome, Keon stood alone in her chambers. The room was made of curved stone and soft lights. Weapons lined the walls. In the center was a round sleeping platform made of furs. She entered. "Quietly, you should sleep," she said. He turned to her. "Why are you helping me? Why not let Krivtau win and take me?" She walked to the wall and touched a long blade, her fingers tracing its edge. "Because when you touched me, I didn't feel fear," she said. "I felt warmth." He blinked. "That means something? To my kind, it means everything." He didn't know what to say. So he just nodded. As he lay down that night, staring at the alien ceiling, Kian knew one thing for sure. Tomorrow, he'd have to fight a warrior who wanted to kill him, to defend a bond he never asked for. With a woman who might be the only reason he was still alive, and somewhere deep inside, he was starting to care. Asterisk. Kian stood in the middle of a cold training chamber, shirt damp with sweat, lungs burning, arms shaking.
Oh!
The stone floor beneath him was cracked, marked with claw lines and old blood. Around him, strange weapons hung on the walls, spears that hummed, blades that sparked, staffs that pulsed with light. Across from him stood Thalzira, holding a training spear with one hand, watching him without blinking. She hadn't broken a sweat. Kian gasped, holding a blunt weapon in his hands. "Are we done now?" "You haven't blocked my last strike yet," she said calmly. "You hit me 6 times in 3 seconds. 7, she corrected. "You didn't notice the strike behind your knee," he groaned and dropped the weapon. "I'm going to die tomorrow." Thalzira walked toward him slowly. "You're not a warrior, I know this, but you can still win." Kian sat on the floor, wiping his face. "How Kriftel, a monster. He trains with fire blades. His chest has scars from hunting worms the size of ships. I once slipped on an oily wrench and cried for 10 minutes. Thalzira knelt beside him, eyes serious. "You think strength alone wins battles? No strategy, movement, surprise you? Are human, you move differently. You think differently. Use that." He sighed. "I didn't ask to be part of some mating law, and now I'm about to be broken into pieces by your ex-fiancé." She paused, then said, "I never accepted his claim." Kian looked at her. "My clan wanted it. His family wanted power. I refused. I've never been touched until you. And it wasn't your strength I felt, it was your warmth." It unlocked. "Something, that glow?" he asked. She nodded. "The bond signal. Most need permission, but yours bypassed it. That's why the elders are afraid. You don't follow our rules, and that scares them." Kian rubbed his face. "Why am I always the one getting into trouble just for existing?" She stood. "Because some things are meant to change." Later, as the lights dimmed across the clan halls and moons lit the sky dome, Kian stood alone near the arena, staring through the high glass at the pit where he'd soon fight. A giant ring of polished stone surrounded by fire towers, with viewing platforms full of alien nobles. The arena was ancient, a place where bloodlines were sealed, where warriors proved their right to claim or protect a bond. He thought of Earth, of home, the scrapyards and dusty skies of New Detroit Colony, where he grew up fixing old satellites for food credits. He wasn't a hero. He was a fixer. A nobody, then. Why did Thalzira, a warrior born of battle and fire, believe in him? Before dawn, she returned to his room with a small package. She placed it in his hands. "What's this?" "Timer," she said. "Lightweight. It forged for speed, not force." "I made it for you." He looked at her. "You forged armor for me." She nodded. "It's not the gift of a warrior. It's the promise of one." The next morning, the arena roared with thousands of voices. Aliens of all kinds filled the seats. Nobles, soldiers, merchants, even children. At the center stood Krivdal, shirtless and proud, holding a jagged double-bladed staff that buzzed with heat. Kian stepped into the pit wearing the armor she gave him, black-gray with curved shoulder plates and a chest seal glowing blue. It was light, flexible, and surprisingly comfortable. He carried a short energy staff, barely longer than his arm. Krifta laughed when he saw him. This is the human that claimed my mate. I will make him beg. Elder stood above the ring. A signal was given. The fire towers flared. The fight began. Kian moved first. Quick. Sideways, dodging rather than striking. Kriftel swung hard, missing narrowly. Kian ducked, rolled, struck low. The crowd gasped as Kian's staff smacked Kriftel's knee, but the big warrior didn't fall. He smiled, then came the real hits. Kriftel struck hard, sending Kian flying across the floor. Pain burst in his side. His weapon slid away. He crawled, struggling to breathe. Kriftel raised his blade, ready to end it. Enough, Stolzira shouted from the edge of the arena. He's not trained to kill. But Kian raised his hand. He didn't run. He didn't cry. He stood up, bruised, bleeding, but still there, and something strange happened. Kriv. Tal swung again, and Kian caught the blade with both hands. It burned his palms. But he held on. His hands glowed, just like they had when he touched Thulzira. Kriftel's eyes widened in horror. He staggered, dropped his weapon. His knees buckled. Kalen let go and stepped back. The crowd went silent. Kriv. Tal collapsed. Not from injury, but something deeper. The elder stood in shock. Thulzira was already in the arena, kneeling beside Kian. "What did I do?" he whispered. She touched his hand. "You triggered the bond signal." Again, but this time it rejected him. "He was too close?" Kian asked. "No, he was unworthy." The elders began to speak quickly, their voices hushed and frantic. Then one shouted, "This bond is not natural. The human must be examined." Thulzira stood tall. "He won your test. He fought and survived. The bond holds." But the look in the elder's eyes had changed. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was something worse, interest. And Kian felt it deep in his chest. This fight wasn't over. He had won the arena. But he had awakened something ancient. Something watching. Something waiting. Kian sat in silence, his back against the cold stone wall of Thulzira's chamber. Hands still wrapped in cloth where the glowing fire from Krivel's blade had kissed his skin. His fingers no longer hurt, but they still shimmered faintly under the dim blue lights. He kept staring at them, watching the slow pulse beneath the skin. It was like his body was whispering something he couldn't understand yet. Thulzira paced across the room like a caged beast. Her armor was off, replaced by a thin battle robe. Her silver-white hair was loose now, wild down her shoulders. But her eyes were sharp as ever, cutting through the quiet like a knife. "They're going." "To call for examination," she finally said. "Maybe extraction." Kian looked up. "Extraction? Of what?" "Tooth." She turned to him, serious. "They think you carry something. It's not just human blood, something older, something forbidden." He laughed nervously. "Great. I touched you once, fought a man twice my size, and now I'm ancient evil." She didn't laugh. She crossed the room, sat across from him, knees to knees. "You know what you did in the arena?" she said softly. "You rejected his bloodline with your touch. That doesn't happen. Even our most gifted warriors can't do that, but you did." He shook his head. "I didn't do anything on purpose." "Exactly," she said, "and that's what scares them." A small buzz sounded at the door. Thulzira rose, her hand already on the blade beside her bed. "It's her," she said after a second. The door opened, and in stepped an elder, not one of the 5 from the hall, but older, thinner, dressed in simple robes that shimmered with age. Her eyes were milky, but alive, sharp in their stillness. "Thulzira," the old woman said, her voice like wind over stone. "You're human, must come with me." "No," Thulzira answered quickly. "You know the law. A bond signal, like his, must be examined. If not, the council will send hunters." Kian stood. "Wait, hunters?" "They won't kill you," the elder said, as if that made it better. "They'll keep you alive. That's worse," Thulzira growled under her breath. "He is under my protection." The elder turned her blind gaze to Kian. If you go willingly, we may keep this quiet. But if you run, they'll never stop. Do you understand? He looked between them. Thalsira's jaw clenched. Her eyes begged him not to say yes. But Kian had seen this kind of trap before, back on Earth, in smaller ways. You walk in willingly, and you don't walk back out. No, Kian said. I'm staying. The elder didn't argue. She only nodded slowly, then whispered, Then may your bond protect you. She left without another word. The silence after her departure was thicker than before. Thalsira crossed the room, opened a panel in the wall, and pulled out a wrapped bundle. She tossed it to Kian. What's this? He asked. A map. A passkey? For what? For the vault? Kian blinked. The what now? She leaned closer. There's a place under this station, older than the station itself, a buried vault, full of tech that no clan dares touch, sealed to everyone, except those with the old blood. You think I have that blood? I know you. Do, she said. Khan sat down again. His mind spun. You want me to break into a forbidden place that scares your people? Using some weird blood-activated magic I didn't even know I had? To do what? Find answers? To find the truth, she said. Before they decide what you are for you. That night they moved in silence. Cloaked, hooded, slipping through shadows and guard posts. The station's lower decks were colder, darker, pipes hissed. Walls dripped with condensation. The air changed the deeper they went, thinner, older, like breathing forgotten history. The vault entrance was sealed behind a giant metal door. Symbols moved across the surface like flowing ink. The panel beside it glowed red. Kian stepped forward. I don't know what I'm doing, he whispered. You don't need to, Thalsira replied. Just touch it. He placed his hand on the panel. The red light turned white, then blue, then the door opened. Inside was a vast room, circular, smooth, covered in strange designs that glowed faintly. Floating orbs hovered around, humming quietly, and in the center stood a massive sphere, black as night. With pulsing cracks of golden light, as Kian stepped toward it, the sphere reacted. A voice filled the room, clear, mechanical, and human. Identity confirmed. Welcome back, Commander. Thalsira stepped back in shock. What? Kian froze. What did it say? The voice repeated, Genetic match located. Commander-level access granted. Initiating memory trace. A beam of light scanned Kian's body. The light faded, then the room changed. Images filled the air, Earthships flying above alien worlds. Humans in strange uniforms speaking with alien races. Wars that weren't in any history books. Maps of galaxies marked classified. Thalsira stared. What is this? Kian stepped forward, whispering, I think we were here before. Humans, long ago, before your clans. Before any of this. The orb pulsed again. Command restart possible. One seed remains. Kian turned to Thalsira. What seed? She shook her head. I don't know. But if the Council sees this, they'll destroy it. And you. The voice spoke once more. Reactivation will initiate galactic awakening. Proceed. Kian looked at the sphere, then at Thalsira. He didn't know what was coming next, but he knew this was bigger than some. Accident in a marketplace. He had touched something ancient, something alive, and now it was waking up. Asterisk Kian stood frozen. In front of the glowing sphere, his own face reflected in its surface, lit by veins of gold, surrounded by ancient human scripts that danced and shifted. Behind him, Thalsira gripped her blade tightly. Every muscle in her body tense, her eyes scanning the chamber. Reactivation will initiate galactic awakening, the voice repeated. Proceed. Kian turned to her. I didn't come here to wake galaxies. I came here to fix a cargo hauler. You are not a mechanic, she said quietly. Not anymore. The sphere pulsed once, brighter. A stream of light extended toward Kian's hand, waiting. He didn't move, but above them. Somewhere in the station, an alarm began to wail. A red light flickered in the vault walls. They found us, Thalsira whispered. They followed us. Keon's voice was low. What do we do? She grabbed his hand. We run, but no time. If they catch you here, they'll erase you. Without another word, she dragged him down a side corridor behind the vault's main chamber. The walls narrowed into twisting tunnels lit by small white lines. The air grew colder. Echoes followed them, not just of boots and shouts, but machines waking behind the walls, hissing softly like they remembered war. Keon looked back just once. The sphere stayed behind, glowing quietly, watching. They moved quickly through the tunnels. Thalzira's memory guided them deeper, through a half-collapsed shaft, and into a wide metal hall where doors lined the walls like sleeping pods. Broken machines sat in dust. Some were shaped like armor, others like weapons. Some were still glowing faintly. Keon stopped at one, a long, rectangular chamber with a glass front. Inside it, a skeleton lay, clearly human. It wore armor similar to his, but darker. Its chest still pulsed with blue light. Who is this? He asked. Thalzira walked over, silent. Another like you. From before. She pressed her hand to the glass. The lights around the pod blinked. The body inside shifted ever so slightly. It's reacting to your presence, she said. He was one of the originals, a sleeper. Your blood must match his. Keon backed away. We need to go. They entered a round room where lightning crackled across a transparent dome above. This was the storm vault's outer shell, and it overlooked the engine cores of the entire station. Massive reactors pulsed below, chained in fields of energy. Dozens of conduits hung overhead like thick metal vines. Thalzira stopped at a console and placed her palm on it. We'll use this emergency rail line to reach the old lift. It'll take us straight back to the trade docks. Keon stared out the window. You ever think none of this would have happened if I'd just turned left that day? She looked at him, a rare softness in her expression. I don't regret it. He didn't say anything. They heard the sound of boots, then voices sharp, robotic, getting closer. The council had sent hunters, and they weren't hiding anymore. Thalzira shoved Keon toward the edge of the rail. Hold tight. Emergency tram. A single floating sled hummed to life beneath them, hissed, then launched forward with a blast of pressure. The wind whipped past them. Sparks slit the sides of the tube. Below them, storm reactors crackled louder than thunder. Behind them, a flash. The tunnel lit up. Pursuers' arch rafters roared into the tunnel, Eponius blinking. Thalzira unslung a compact cannon from her back and fired without looking. The first blast shook the tube. One of the pursuing craft exploded, scattering flame and metal behind them, but another came close. Too close. Keon turned and grabbed a loose cable that dangled overhead. He didn't think, he just swung it forward like a whip. It wrapped around the enemy craft's front stabilizer. The machine twisted midair and slammed into the wall, bursting into fire. Thalzira stared at him, stunned. That was clever. Learned at fixing garbage haulers, he panted. They reached the end of the tunnel, the tram skidding to a stop near a massive vertical shaft. A lift platform waited, rusted but alive. Thalzira slammed the controls. The platform shuddered, then began to rise. Keon looked down. Another hovercraft was rising fast, straight up the shaft below them. Thalzira handed Keon a small disc. Throw this when I say. What does it do? It ends things. The craft below began firing. Dust sparked off the lift's platform, slicing through a corner. Now, shouted Khan through the disc. It hovered for a second, then burst into a blue pulse. The lift platform shot upward and below. The entire shaft collapsed. A sound like ripping metal and thunder filled the world as the storm core surged. Chasing craft vanished in the explosion, then silence. The platform reached the top doors. It opened into the docking bay. They slipped inside quickly. Keon's old cargo hauler still sat there, dusty, forgotten, but untouched. He turned to her. What now? She closed the bay doors behind them. Now we run again. He leaned against the ship. Are you always running? She looked at him. No, I was always standing still until you touched me. Keon lowered his voice. That touch. It didn't just change your life, did it? She shook her head. It changed the galaxy. And it's not done yet. Keon stared through. The cockpit glass at the stars outside, unknowingly carrying a bloodline that once ruled the stars, now hunted by those who feared it could rise again, and somewhere deep beneath them. The sphere in the vault pulsed once more. Not sleeping, not forgotten, asterisk. The small cargo hauler shuddered as it broke free from Zerithanine's magnetic clamps. Keon's hands gripped the controls, sweat making his palm slick. Every alarm on the panel blinked red. Engines whined, a sound he knew too well from years of patchwork repairs, but somehow, the ship held together as it drifted away from the chaos on the docks. Thalzira sat in the co-pilot's chair, breathing hard, armor battered. From their escape, she kept her eyes on the scanner screen, searching for signs of pursuit. Outside, the stars looked peaceful, but Keon knew they were being hunted. He tried to focus, but his mind swirled with memories from the vault, the glowing sphere, the ancient voice, images of humans commanding great ships and forging alliances with alien races. It didn't make sense. He was just a mechanic from a forgotten colony, or so he'd always believed. "What did the vault do to me?" Keon whispered. Barely loud enough to hear himself, Thalzira turned to him, her eyes gentle for the first time. "The vault didn't do anything. It recognized you. You awakened it." He shook his head, not understanding. "How? Why me?" She leaned closer. "You carry the blood of the first humans, not just any ancestors, the original creators. Your touch activated something in me in Kriftal and the vault itself. No alien has ever done that. No human has done it for generations." Keon looked at his hands, remembering the way they glowed with golden light. "But I'm not special. I've never done anything amazing. I fix broken things, that's all." She smiled slightly. "You fixed me? You fixed the vault? Maybe your kind was never meant to rule by force. Maybe humans changed the galaxy by repairing what was broken." He didn't know what to say. He stared at the distant stars, heart pounding. "So what now? The council wants to dissect me. The clans want to use me. I don't even know who I am anymore." Thalzira sat back, looking thoughtful. "Oh, you are is your choice, Keon, but there's more. The bond we share, it's not just a law. It's real. I feel it. You must choose to." A sharp beeping interrupted them. Thalzira leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Pursuers, we ships." Fast, Keon's instincts took over. He slammed the throttle forward, sending the hauler spinning through a cloud of metallic debris. The other ships closed in, weapons arming. He dodged and weaved, sweat stinging his eyes. "I can't outfight them." Thalzira grabbed the cums. "This is Warrior Thalzira of Clan Vazareth, blood bonded under. Old law, stand down." Silence. Then, cold laughter from the lead ship's pilot. "The council wants the human alive. The law is dust." Keon twisted the ship sharply, sending their hauler through a narrow gap between two drifting containers. Sparks flashed outside. Another alarm blared. He yelled, "Hang on." A blast rocked the rear hull. Thalzira cursed, "Check the readouts." "Shields failing, we can't outrun them." Keon gripped the controls tighter, but his heart sank. "I'm sorry, Thalzira. I got you into this." She reached across, took his hand. "You didn't get me into anything. I chose this." Suddenly, a different voice crackled over the cums, clear, mechanical, the same one from the vault. "Commander, emergency protocol unlocked." "Stand by." The controls lit up with golden light. The entire cockpit glowed. Keon's hands moved on their own, guided by a force older than memory. The ship lurched, and then reality seemed to fold.
Space.
Bent around them, stars twisting into ribbons. A moment later, everything was silent. No alarms, no pursuers. Only the soft hum of the engines and the endless black outside. Thalzira stared at Keon in shock. "What did you do?" Keon shook, breathing hard. I don't know. I just touched the panel." The mechanical voice returned. "Seed protocol complete. Emergency warp successful. Welcome, Commander." Keon slumped back, mind spinning. "I'm not a commander." Thalzira placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are now. They drifted in silence for a while. Slowly, Kian calmed. He realized they were safe for the moment. He looked at Thalzira. The council will never stop. As long as I live, I'm a threat to them, to everything they built. She nodded. And so am I now. I broke the code by helping you. My clan will hunt me too. Kian tried to laugh, but it sounded hollow. I guess we're both outcasts. She squeezed his hand. Not outcasts. Survivors. Partners. For the first time, Kian smiled back. So what do we do? Hide forever? She shook her head. No, we find others. There must be more like you, more humans, more lost bonds. If your blood can awaken ancient tech, maybe it can awaken hope. He thought about it, the idea growing. In his mind, do you think there's a place for us? She smiled, fierce and bright. Not yet, but we'll make one. Outside the window, a new star began to glow, far off, pale and mysterious, calling to them through the darkness. As Kian looked out at the endless sky, he realized for the first time he was not just running from his past. He was running toward a future that no one else could see, with a warrior at his side, a power inside him that could change everything. But in the shadows of the galaxy, old enemies gathered. The council would not let him go so easily. They would hunt him to the ends of space. The secrets of the vault, the truth of the human touch, were only just beginning to wake. Asterisk. The old cargo hauler drifted in the dark between stars, alone and silent, carrying two fugitives and a secret that could change the galaxy. Kian sat in the captain's chair, watching distant starlight flicker on the glass. His thoughts spun, not with fear, but with something new. Purpose. Days had passed since the escape from Zarth 9. Thalzira and Kian hid their ship among asteroids, using old codes and tricks to avoid patrols. Supplies ran low, but Kian's skills kept them alive, fixing power lines, stretching food, coaxing warmth from dying engines. They learned to work together, to trust each other. And slowly, something softer grew between them. After in the quiet, small smiles over shared meals, a sense that they were no longer running, but building something, even if it was just a life in exile. But peace could not last. One morning, the ship's alarms howled. Red light spilled across the walls. Thalzira leaped to her feet, armor half-fastened. As Kian raced to the cockpit. On the main screen, 3 council warships appeared, dark and massive, filling space with their shadows. A message flashed in harsh letters. Surrender the human. Surrender the traitor. Law must be obeyed. Kian swallowed, glancing at Thalzira. We can't outrun them. Not again. She gripped her spear, and we faced them. Together. He reached for her hand, feeling the bond signal pulse gently beneath their skin, a warmth that was more than physical. I won't let them take you. Or us. Thalzira smiled, fierce and bright. We make our stand. The council ships closed in, weapons locking onto the hauler. Kian's mind raced. The vault's voice echoed inside him. Reactivation will initiate galactic awakening. Proceed, he remembered. The image is humans, as leaders, peacemakers, protectors. He was no hero, but maybe he could be the start of something better. Thalzira, I have to try, he said softly. She understood. She pressed her forehead to his, a warrior's sign of trust. You are my mate, Kian, by law and by choice. The enemy ships hailed them again. Final warning. Surrender or be destroyed. Kian took a breath, his hands steady on the controls. He touched the panel, letting his mind open to the bond deep in his blood. The console glowed with golden light. The same ancient force that opened the vault flowed through his fingers, into the ship, out into space. A pulse shot from their ship. Invisible but strong, touching every ship around them. Every council broadcast, every scanner, the largest enemy vessel shuddered. Its lights flickered. Suddenly, a message echoed on all frequencies. The vault's voice clear and powerful. Awaken. The true heirs of the stars have returned. All who wish for peace, all who reject fear, answer the call. Every ship nearby paused. Some captains froze, staring at the strange message. Others felt warmth in their hands, those with old human blood long dormant. Now awakened by Keon's signal, the council's second in command, a gray-skinned noblewoman, gasped as her own hand glowed. She stared at the light in awe. What? What is this? A dozen other ships, hidden in the dark, powered up. From their speakers came a single phrase. We answer. On the council's lead ship, the main commander snarled. Shut it down. Destroy them. Weapons charged, energy humming, but half the ships refused the order. A quiet mutiny spread as the old bonds woke inside crew after crew. No one had expected this many humans scattered across generations, hidden among clans. Now drawn together by one touch, Thalzira watched it unfold, hope lighting her eyes for the first time. You are not alone, Keon. None of us are. Keon faced the main screen, standing tall beside her. This is our answer, he said into the come. Not just for us, but for everyone tired of fear and old rules. I claim my right, not because of your law, but because I choose her and I choose a new future. The pulse spread further. On planets, on stations, everywhere the message reached, people felt something spark inside them, a bond that could not be controlled by any council. The commander gave one last order, rage boiling. Fire. But the council's own ships would not obey. Crews stepped down, weapons powered off. A single ship, the main flagship, fired once. Out of desperation, Thalzira's hand found Keon's. Their bond flared, golden and bright. The blast struck their haulers' shields and dissolved. Energy fizzling away. It was over. The enemy ships broke away, powerless to stop the tide. Across the system, news spread. The bond had returned, old laws had fallen, and new hope rose with the touch of a human hand. In the quiet that followed, we could go anywhere now. We could go anywhere now, he said softly. Start something. New, she smiled, tears shining in her warrior's eyes. With you, I will go anywhere. I am not your mate by accident or by law. I am yours because I choose you. They left the dead space behind, their ship gliding toward a dawn of their own making. Behind them, the galaxy shifted. Across 1,000 worlds, people whispered of the day a single touch rewrote the future, and in the vault deep beneath Zerith-9, the ancient sphere pulsed softly, not with warning, but with welcome. A human had returned, and the stars would never be the same. Asterisk.